Okay, I'm going to be walking you through the process of making a whistle, which most of you have done already last week, but you're partway through, I believe. For those of you who missed the last class, well, you'll be able to catch up here. This is also to help the sub know what's happening with the whistle. What you're going to start with is a blank of hardwood, which is in the drawer right behind my desk. Beside the blackboard, in that small cabinet, there's a bunch of small hardwood blocks that are approximately 3/4 by 3/4. They're a little more, 13/16, and you're also going to be needing some of this 1/2-inch doweling that's in there. To start the whistle, what you'll do is make a cut about 3.5 to 4.5 inches long. I'm going to make this one at 4 inches. Okay. Wrap it in the vise. Make the cut. Okay. Now what I'm going to be doing is squaring off the ends with the belt sander. Alright, and I'll go show you that. Okay, so this machine is the combination sander. And we've got the belt and the disc here, and I showed you guys how to use this last week. This is how you square up the whistle on the end. You can use this abrasive sanding disc. Turn it on with the switch down here. Now your pieces should be nice and square and ready for the drill press. Now you're going to want to have the drill press set up with a 1/2-inch drill bit. Okay, I have a nice brad point bit here, which I will hopefully have in the drawer. I'll show you that quick. It's in this drawer right there. I'll have them in there that can be used and set up for making the whistles. I'll keep them there so that no one else in the other classes use them. Now what you do is you lock the whistle blank in there. Okay, for this procedure some of you may need earplugs because it's very loud. There are earplugs here behind the desk. Okay. And you're drilling it out. Making sure to drill consistently all the way down. You want to set the drill press up so that it stops about 1/2 inch from the bottom, so the drill doesn't, you don't drill all the way through. Once you have the hole, then you are ready to do the next step. Okay, so the next step on the whistle, once you've got the hole drilled, is to do a layout. Now, we are going to be making a triangular notch out of the side and across the top, which will prove to be the actual whistle hole. Now, to do that, you want to make a mark across the hole 1/3 of the way down. Start by labeling a top, okay? I'm going to make this the top of my whistle. 1/3 of the way down from the top, 1/3 of the way across the hole, I'm going to draw a line across. Transfer those lines down the sides. Okay? Now, from the top, I'm going to go from the hole, the side that the hole is drilled on, I'm going to go back about 1/2 inch. I'm going to draw a line across. Another 1/2 inch back, I'm going to draw another line across. Then I'm going on the first line. From the first line, I'm going down to my horizontal line. Same thing on the other side. Okay, now what I'm going to do is from this point where my vertical line connects with my horizontal line, I'm going to connect back to line number 2. Okay, so you can see I made a little triangle there. Same thing on this side. You can use a straight edge to make it nice and beautiful. Now, what I'm doing is removing that triangular piece. Everything in here I'm going to remove. Alright, so to do that, clamping it in here on the vise, and I'll be cutting down carefully here down to my line. Okay, see that? Now to make this vertical cut, I'm going to clamp here on my vise. Some of the vices don't do this, they're not set up properly. They don't have a nice edge like this. But what you can do is use the edge of the vise as a guide to guide your saw down to make that cut. Now, it's a bit tricky to getting started, and you might have to start sideways like that to get a little notch for your saw to sit in. And then you're going to cut it down carefully, very carefully. I think this is actually where most of you will be, if I don't recall. Now, you'll want to clean out any little fuzzy bits that are inside the hole that are left from cutting. So you can use a round file for that. Clean that up. Okay. And if you find that this edge here is a little rough, what you can do is file that flat. It's nice to have in the vise for that. Okay, you have it there. Then you file that down so it's nice and flat. Okay, and you're going to take your 1/2-inch dowel. You're going to cut 1 inch off. Okay. Okay. Once you've got the inch cut off, you're going to make one edge flat. Some of you have done this, some of you haven't. So, now I've got my mouthpiece. This is going to slide in the end of the whistle here. So now I'm going to take a file and flatten this. About 1/3 of the way down. Okay, so it looks something like that. Now you'll be able to slide this dowel in to your whistle, the hole we drilled, twisting it a bit, and bringing it till, if it's hard to move, you can do it in a vise like this. Clamp it and you can wiggle it around in there to get it. The things you're looking for is that the flat part is lined up with the top, and that the end of the mouthpiece is more or less in line with this edge, the first cut down that we did. Okay. At this point, you should be able to test your whistle by blowing into that hole. Okay, this whistle is working fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Crazy Glue, which is in the top drawer of that cabinet again, to put a couple of drops here to glue in my mouthpiece. So, a couple of drops there and there. The Crazy Glue, I might spin this a couple times, just a little bit, because Crazy Glue will set more. It needs to penetrate a little bit more, and you want to be careful when you're doing that because the Crazy Glue will set quickly all of a sudden and you won't be able to move it. Okay, so it's still going good. And once that has been like that for a few minutes, we're going to go to the next step. Okay, so now this is the first time we'll be introducing a power tool in this class, and we will be using this, it's called a scroll saw, to cut the mouthpiece off. Okay, now that your crazy glue is in there and it's set, and you got the whistle sounding right. Now, a couple things about power tools. You want to be the person who's operating the tool is the only one touching the tool, okay? At the back here is a variable speed adjustment. Here's the power on. So what happens is there's a small thin blade here that's moving up and down and provides the cutting action, okay? You turn it on and you can adjust the speed by turning this dial here. Okay, now you want to hold the piece firmly down. If you don't hold it firmly, what can happen is your piece that you're cutting will start to jump. You want to hold it down with some good solid pressure down on the table, and we're going to just slowly cut off the mouthpiece like that. All right. Take care that your fingers are not in the way. This blade should be tight. There's a tension adjustment here. You can see how this is nice and floppy here now. It shouldn't be like that. That's the only way that is like. The reason it's floppy is because that's when you change a new blade, you loosen the tension, and then you can put the tension on to make your first cuts. The next thing we're going to do is cut a nice shape on our mouthpiece here to make it nicer on the mouth for blowing on the whistle. So you're going to want to draw a line here at an angle down. I'm just going to eyeball it. Okay, so then I've got that cut off. It's a little nicer for my mouth, right, to fit on. So now you are very close to being done your whistle. You're going to want to sand that down the corners, make it look all nice. Be careful when you're sanding to not sand so far that you enter and puncture the hole. That'll ruin your whistle. Take the edges off. Use a hand sander, because the power sander will make your fingers get too close to the sander for that. And you can also use the wood burner to put your name in here and whatever. The wood burner is in my office on the shelves behind my seat, and they have there are two of them there for you guys to use. That's how you make the whistle. Hopefully there's enough information in this video that you can make your whistle and get a good sound. Some of the problems you might find when you're making the whistle is that when you make this cut, you end up having the cut too far away, and you'll have a bigger hole here than what I have on this whistle. In that case, what you want to do is slide your mouthpiece a little further ahead. Instead of being lined up here, you'll slide it a little further ahead and play. You want to play with where this mouthpiece is before you glue it to get a good sound, okay? Worst case scenario, you start again and make another one. All right?